Welcome, everybody, to It Comes Down to This. Today's episode is a really interesting one because we're talking about something most people don't think about until they're living in it. How do you grow a business, build authority, and become known when you're in an industry where you can't just say whatever you want? My guest today is Jeff Mount. Jeff operates in the financial services world where compliance, regulation, and red tape don't just slow you down. They shape everything about how you communicate, how you sell, and how you show up. And here's what makes this conversation worth your time. Most people think their biggest challenge is getting attention. Jeff is dealing with something completely different. He has to build trust, create conversations, and grow his business in an environment where traditional marketing either doesn't work or it isn't allowed. So in this episode, it's about what happens when the normal playbook is off the table. It's about how you become known when you can't rely on hype, shortcuts, or constant promotion. And it's about why, in some cases, those constraints actually force you to build a better business. So if you've ever felt like your industry is too crowded, too competitive, or too difficult to stand out, this is going to challenge the way you think about that. Let's get into it. Jeff, welcome to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Monty. Boy, that sounded dramatic.
I put effort into it. I want to make sure that everybody has a reason to listen. So let's start off this way, Jeff. Based off what I just mentioned, what makes financial services such a difficult space to market?
Yeah, it's funny. There's probably about 20,000 advisors who've given a big head nod to what you just said because they struggle with the same things that I do, that everything they say, every move they make, anything that can be written down, videotaped, recorded, whatever, is being scrutinized by compliance. And of course, compliance isn't doing it just to be a pain in the rear. They're doing it because they know there are attorneys out there just dying to sue somebody for something. So it's just this ongoing game that is not fun for any of us.
Yeah. I've had the opportunity to work with a number of financial advisors. And this whole episode today is about, when you just don't have the freedom to say whatever you want to say. And how do you go about doing that? Every single post is scrutinized. Emails are scrutinized. Whatever you're doing online is highly regulated and controlled by whatever organization you're with. And the top financial institutions are probably the worst. I guess maybe they have the most to lose or something. I don't know. But walk me through, when every message has to be filtered, what does that do to creativity and growth?
It can not stifle it completely, but it can certainly slow it down. You just have to be more creative. But at the same time, you have to be compliant. So if I'm doing let's just call it a videotape of myself, not talking to anybody, but just talking to the camera and putting a message out there, that cannot go on any kind of social media post, any kind of TV advertisement, unless it has passed compliance stamp of approval first. Now, if it's a live conversation, kind of like we're doing now, there's a little more flexibility because I don't know in advance what you're going to say or ask, and I'm just speaking off the cuff. I do have to be careful. Now, myself, I know you know this, just so your listeners understand, I wear two hats, and they serve the same people, but in very, very different ways. So I am the CEO of Caddis, which does digital marketing and sales management for financial advisory and financial advisors and financial advisory teams. Absolutely no products discussed ever in order to remain compliant. I am also what they call a wholesaler or a regional director for the Northeast for Curve Investments. And of course, there is a product there. And when it comes time to have that conversation, it's generally a different time under different assumptions. The two can't mix. That's just the way my world is. And as long as I keep them separate, I'm okay.
Hi, guys. Everyone knows content is king, but most brands struggle producing authentic content their ideal customer connects with and responds to. Let me tell you about our show sponsor, Brand Managers. They have solved the authentic content problem. They produce high-value social video and podcasts like this, so your brand is both visible and believable. If you need a consistent content engine across all social platforms and a sales engine that converts, you need Brand Managers. Visit brandmanagers.agency today and make sure your brand gets chosen. Let's get tactical. If you are, so you're in a marketing space,
Mm-hmm.
you're working with a starting financial advisor.
Mm.
What's the best way for them to develop relationships that's going to lead to business?
Well, the way that the industry has them do it, and I think it is a good way to start, is who do you already know who might trust you with their savings, whether it's their kids' college savings or their retirement, whatever it may be, and build that relationship through trust and through experience, and get referrals from those people as a result of the trust that's built. Now, once you've done that, I think it's time to start thinking about an omni-channel approach to marketing and sales. And, I find so many advisors don't want to they'll spend some amount of time on marketing and sales, but they generally don't spend much in the way of their revenue. They literally live off of what they make, and that's it. And I know, just because I've been doing this for 25 years, I can tell you the smartest organic growth organizations in this business have a breakdown of 40% of the revenue to cover overhead, 40% to pay themselves, and the remaining 20% is really committed to marketing and sales. That is a formula that not only wins for revenue really quickly over the other model, but also for book valuation, so that ultimately when you sell it, there's a certain amount of organic growth that's just expected from the system you've built.
Well, let's say I'm new. I'm fresh out of finance school.
Sure.
I've been trained. I'm now with one of the top companies.
Sure.
Right. I mean, it feels very much like a multi-level marketing deal.
It does in the beginning, without a doubt.
Go hit your friends and family. Yeah.
The friends and family, we used to have a saying that these firms, whether you are on the insurance side or the investment side, it doesn't really matter. They're throwing your friends and family at the wall and seeing what sticks. And that's awful. It's terrible.
But isn't there a better way? Isn't there a different way?
It's
what would I do if I don't want to do that?
Quickest way to get dollars in the door in the beginning, but it's not scalable. It's not durable. You're right. When we talked about the omni-channel approach, you've got to have a social media presence. You've got to have a website that generates revenue, not one that's an electronic business card.
Okay, but let me jump in real quick, because
sure.
Yes, I agree. If I have to have those things, but it's so highly regulated, I can't really say a whole lot. So I know I can't talk product, right?
You shouldn't talk product anyway.
So if I don't talk product, what are what are these companies putting out that's going to have any value that says, yeah, I should talk to Monty, even though I have no relationship with him? How do I present myself as an authority in the space if every time I say something, they're going to say, no, you can't say that?
So it is interesting what you just said, which was, what do I put out? What do these companies put out versus what should they put out? What they do put out, and I do this in a joking way, and there are going to be certain advisors who are going to cringe when they hear this. There's a template that I have seen where there's this sailboat that's going across a lake, which is, of course, is the front page of the website. And then as you scroll down, you see all the team in their their suit and tie and their fancy dresses, leaning on the boardroom table very confidently with a smile. And then you scroll down a little further, and there's the headshots of each of the people you just saw leaning on the boardroom table. And under there is what school they went to, what activities they enjoy, how they spend their time with their family, and of course, what they're licensed to sell.
Mhm.
So it's me, we, me, we, me.
Mhm.
And that is the electronic business card. What they
Yes.
should be doing, unfortunately, they're not doing, is they should be identifying those challenges that face their niche, whatever that niche is. And if you don't have a niche, get one. If you think the niche is narrow enough, go narrower. And the
Give me an
reason,
example.
yeah, so the reason I say, well, small business owners is a common one that I hear. What kind of small business owners? There are so many small business owners. And the reason you want to go narrow isn't as much as, well, I just need to be good at working with this one type of, it's limiting your competition. The reality is the big wirehouses that you alluded to earlier, the Merrill Lynch's, the Morgan Stanley's, the UBS's of the world, their marketing budget's always going to be bigger than yours. It's always going to be broader than yours. So don't even fight that fight. Fight the fights you can win by going very, very narrow with your niche, identifying what their challenges are and putting it on that website and suggesting there might be an opportunity, not saying what the answer is, but suggesting there might be a solution with a private, personal conversation. Then suddenly you're entering into a trust-building exercise. But I will tell you this, just by being somebody who might fit that niche, looking at the website, and I'd say, hey, that guy knows me. Yeah, that's my problem. I experienced that. That immediately begins a trust-building process.
Okay, that's an interesting concept about speaking to the problem.
Yep.
With clients, with all of my clients, I have a phrase. I'd love to be able to trademark it. I don't think I can. I know I wasn't the originator of it, but I've adopted it as my own. So, which,
Don't
which
worry
is
about the trademark. Just run
yeah,
with it.
exactly. Which is a confused mind always says no.
Yes.
So if I speak very directly to the problem, am I at risk of offending compliance?
No, because you haven't
Okay, so
actually
explain
suggested
to
the
me.
solution.
Okay, so here's where I want to go, and because we may have some financial people that are going to listen to this, and I think this applies to all businesses, compliance or non-compliance. If you're speaking directly to the problem, tell me what, and we may have many problems that you're wanting to address, but what's the primary problem that a startup advisor or any advisor is going to speak to?
I'm thinking
That
about
avoids, I should say, that avoids product, that
Yep.
avoids solution.
Yep.
It's just, let's speak to the problem.
Yep. So I'm going to use an example of tech and manufacturing. So if I'm a startup, and a lot of people don't know about this, if I am a founder of a company that was founded after September of 2008, being very specific here, and that particular company does manufacturing or tech, when that person decides to exit, assuming it's 5 years or more, there is the possibility, and there are a whole bunch of conditions here, that they could avoid up to $50 million in capital gains tax when they sell. Now, I didn't say definitely. I didn't say specifically which tech or manufacturing companies we're talking about, nor did I tell you what this is called. But that kind of assumption or challenge that every founder knows is going to be a big taxable event when they sell could solve the problem, assuming we have a deeper conversation afterwards. Compliance is not going to get me for that because I'm not getting too deep into it. I'm simply raising what the challenge is and allowing the process to continue in a different environment.
Can you can you say or can you tell a story that's not based on a real situation, but is a real problem? Like what you just mentioned. Can I say, so and so who owned a business or a business owner in the tech industry went X amount of years, built up a phenomenal business, now winds up selling it without realizing that they're encumbered by 50 million and whatever. And can you, basic in a sense, story tell without it being an actual story?
You got to, again, I'm trying to think like a compliance officer and my head hurts
Mm-hmm.
when I do that. I'm going to guess no.
Okay.
And the reason I say no is they would say, well, if you're going to tell a story, we need to know who that person is. And if you do that, then you're invading someone's privacy. This is how goofy it gets. And again, every advisor who's ever had compliance challenges will give me the head nod. Yeah, this is exactly how goofy this gets.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this. I've worked with a number of financial advisors in the past. Most financial advisory companies in their marketing put out what I call website content, which is who cares? Nobody's reading that. Nobody's engaging that. Nobody cares. If they want information, they're going to go seek it out. They're not going to look at any social media posts for it. They're probably not going to, be scrolling through the feed and come across your post and it just changed their world. Oh, I didn't know that. And now I'm going to reach out to you. It's not going to happen. And I tell them that all the time, well, your problem is you're so restricted by compliance. So I had an idea for one guy. Multiple people, and I've tried to get somebody to pull the trigger on this. Nobody has taken me up on it.
Dying to hear this.
It is because, I
do.
I guess I do know why. But I said, look, and I'll tell you the story of this one guy. I said, you're not, the first rule that you should live by is that people make judgments about you like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means
7 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. 7 seconds. I didn't hear that. I've never heard that, but I bet you're right. 7 seconds to create what? Likability. Right? I'm going to know in 7 seconds whether I want to continue to have a conversation with you or even want to know you at all. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that can start with just a look. I might not look like your look. You might not like my look, right?
Yep.
So, if the first step is likability and all you're doing is posting about who cares content, how does that create any likability at all? Right? What it does is actually say, I don't like this person. because I know if I connect with you, excuse me, if I connect with you and I talk to you, and only what every conversation I'm going to have with you is just simply about me giving you money or me working with you on my, next financial future. So I said to this guy, take off that you're a financial planner on your title. Put on there something that's personal and that makes likability. It can be anything at all. Hunter, fisherman, father of four, right? Whatever it is, just be a person first. You've got the title down in your history, okay? Then, who are you if you look at your inner circle and all the people that you can go after? What are their interests outside of money? Right? Do they like boats? Are they car aficionados? Do they like cigars? What is it, right? Do they golf? And then can you put content out there that speaks to those things that has nothing to do with money at all? Because if the first step is likability and you need to like me in order to have a relationship, nobody's going to give you money or nobody's going to trust you with their money, I should say, until they know you and like you and trust you. And that know and like are critically important steps. Don't you agree?
So it's funny. Part of my value proposition is a program called Wisdom Training. And in the Wisdom Training, when we talk about advisors getting out there and finding people who they will like and who might like them back, it's exactly what you described. Identify those things that you like that, quite frankly, qualified prospects might also like as well. So I live in Connecticut, and you mentioned cars. We have Lime Rock Race Park, which is a phenomenal place to go, and it's just an incredible weekend experience. Certainly, golf is almost cliche in my business, but sure, absolutely. I will tell you, I'm a former professional tennis player. Tennis is not good because it's usually one-on-one and you're far apart.
Oh, totally, yeah.
It's a bad choice of sports to try to build friendships in.
No doubt.
But
you're not really talking when you're playing tennis.
Yeah.
Maybe spectating if you want to go to the U.S. Open or something.
You're grunting. You're not talking, you're grunting. Right? So, but yes, your point is well received. And I do think that to a certain degree, you can do that in social media, but doing it live in person is always best.
So let's talk about to a certain degree, you can do it in social media. If you're not dealing with money at all, can't you post whatever you want and you don't have to send it to compliance?
As long as you're not talking product, you're not guaranteeing returns, and you're not saying that whatever you're discussing about a client experience would be appropriate for everybody else, you're okay.
Okay, so walk me through. Tell me if my
limitations
theory
are
is
terrible, aren't they?
Say that again.
So those limitations are just terrible, aren't they?
They are. They're the worst.
Yeah.
But I think this is really interesting because I think a lot of us could learn from it. Being restricted, if you're focused, if you have to be boiled down to its likability only, right? That then develops relationship. That's all you got. Unless you're just going to do website content that nobody cares about. Okay, if you scroll down and you see financial advisor, you know who I am. You know what I'm about. You know what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to talk about it, do I? So if I'm posting on a daily basis, and let's say I take out a friend on a nice golf outing. I take a little video of some swings. I take some pictures of the golf course that we're at. I take a little photo or video of, us in the clubhouse afterwards, trying on some new shoes or having a coffee, whatever, right? And I'm posting about that great day at the course, had a phenomenal day with my friend so-and-so, tag him. Talked about all kinds of things, including the state of our financial futures. Wonderful day. Look forward to doing it again. That's it. Let's say that's all the post was. So I got to hit compliance.
You're going to think I'm a jerk because I just know how these guys are. The immediate assumption they're going to take from that is, so do you take all your prospects out for golf? How much does that cost?
Sure.
Are you buying the business?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say something like that.
But let's say you didn't talk about financial futures.
Well, then you're okay. I think as long as you stay away from the conversation of investing and becoming a client.
Yeah. Okay. So we stay completely off of finance at all. It's just
that's right.
Hey,
just
went
leave
out
it
and
out.
had an awesome day of golf. That identifies that I love golf.
Right.
Right. And then I like talking about golf. And so if I continue to do that, and if I then say, here's me and so at the cigar bar, enjoyed, whatever. That's no finances. It's just,
Yeah, as long as you leave the financial part out of it, you're fine.
yeah. So wouldn't the effect of that be if I'm now connecting with people, business owners, and they're seeing what my interests are, and they connect with that and they go, oh, this dude likes golf. I like golf.
Well, it certainly is a great way to create engagement on social media, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Yes.
Absolutely is. My point is, wouldn't you be much more likely to connect with that person?
Than just somebody cold, of course.
Or a financial advisor that's just putting out a bunch of financial advisory crap
That's
from
right.
whatever.
Right.
Wouldn't you?
I would think so.
I would. I know I would. Because that's an interesting person. And I think, what I want first is there something that interests me and that I want to connect with besides finance, or besides marketing, or besides whatever I'm selling, right?
Right.
I think the main thing about social media, and especially about LinkedIn, and a lot of people go astray here, is that they feel like they can only post business content. It's like always business.
Yeah.
And it's, I'm going to, and if you scroll through the LinkedIn feed, my goodness, I mean, you can't do it for more than 15 minutes. I don't think there's one person that can. If you do, you have to go drink or something because
Listen, you can see from the engagement that the best posts get, and you're right, it's generally not about what they do. It's something it could be politics, which is a little toxic.
No, sure.
We
Yeah.
we
You
do
want to
see
stay
that
away
a
from
lot.
obvious.
That gets a whole lot of engagement.
Yeah.
But you're right. If you have a dog that comes into your office and you focus on the dog and you find the dog lovers out there, they're going to speak up. There's no question.
Mm-hmm.
And I think your point that likability is a great starting point to building trust, without a doubt it is. That's not all of it, but it definitely gets you to the next step, whereas the other person may not even get that first step.
Yes. So, story. Back in the day, years ago, I was starting a marketing company, and I heard this story about these two guys that were starting a marketing company. They had left a firm out of New York City, don't know which one it was. They had left a firm to start their own, okay? And they knew they had to get some high caliber clients right away to get the brand kicked off and to be able to compete in the New York City space, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what they decided to do, they took all of their money that they had to invest in marketing, right? And they took a 3-month cruise on the QE2, which the QE2 is the most high-end, luxury, exclusive cruise ship out of England,
Mm-hmm.
right? All the rich and famous type people, when they take cruises, they go on the QE2.
Mm-hmm.
So they took a 3-month, they just said, all of our money for the entire year, we're going to go on this QE2, and all we're going to do is try and develop relationships with people.
Mm-hmm.
They went to where they felt like their market was, and they invested there. And through that 3 months, met 8 to 10 people, of which a number of them became their core clients.
Mm-hmm.
And it immediately kicked off their business. And they were right up with, not cost them tens of thousands of dollars. It's an extremely expensive cruise, especially if you're going to do it for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
But it was effective.
Sure.
And in my mind, I think that's a brilliant marketing and sales strategy.
I've seen a handful of advisors do something similar to what you're describing. And you're right. It takes a lot of capital up front and you got to commit to it. But in each case, they had success.
But I think the capital that you would have to put out, number one, on social media, I think if you do it differently to where every post you do is geared towards likability, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be really specific about who you want to go after and what their tastes are, right? You've got
On the niche, yeah.
to ping these on an ongoing basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's cigars, you got to go all in on cigars. If it's, show
Yes.
dogs, whatever,
Yeah, whatever.
you've got to go all in on that and you got to commit to it. But you also have to show up live in the places where they're actually going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think and that's why I'm telling you, I have presented that strategy to a number of financial advisors.
Mm-hmm.
Not one of them yet has taken me up on it.
I'm going to tell you that it's a combination of, will it really work? And, oh my God, it's going to cost a lot of money in the beginning. So those are the two challenges, and they kind of feed off of each other.
Yeah.
That are probably preventing them from actually doing it. But I think your idea is sound.
When you typically, the typical financial advisor that comes into the industry, are they not well off?
I'm not sure there is a typical. There's
maybe there's not.
No, there's so many people from different backgrounds who get into the business. A lot of them don't have capital. A lot of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they're kind of bootstrapped to begin with.
They're bootstrapped to begin with.
Yeah, the one that I was talking to, he was in position to take over a book of business from somebody that was getting out of the business, being positioned that. But the amount of money that from the things that he would do that he would have to give over, he had to just have a ridiculous amount of investment in play to even scrape by. It was like 10 million.
I know so many advisors who fit the description you're describing. And I'm thinking of one right now who took out a loan of $90,000.
Wow.
To buy this very large book of business. I wouldn't say very large, but large book of business. And the thing you have to understand is the average age of the people in the book are going to be close to, if not the same as the person who's selling the business. So you have several challenges. Number one, they're no longer in accumulation mode. They're in distribution mode, which means the assets are going to drop. Some of them are going to die. So when you buy that book of business, are you really buying it or are you renting it?
Yeah, that's a great point.
You're renting it. You've got to generate new business fast with younger people who are in accumulation mode, who hopefully are going to live a long life. You need to get those. You're literally just buying income for a while until you can create your own book.
Yeah, it's a great point.
And you got to pay down that debt.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's a difficult industry. It's definitely not for the faint of heart,
Not at all.
Yet there's so many people that are in it. Which means competition is just excruciating. So you look at, and then another problem that I had is you're territorial, right? You only have a small territory. Is that correct for most advisors?
It depends upon who you're working. If you're working with an agency where there's territories, yes. If you're an independent broker dealer or an RIA, RIA is registered investment advisor. If you're a state registered investment advisor, then you're limited to your state and a little bit outside the state. I mean really little. If you're a SEC registered investment advisor, then you're nationwide. And that's determined, the two of those determine by how much you have in assets under management. So it depends whether you're limited to a territory or not.
One person that was talking to me was from Merrill Lynch.
That's territorial. Yes.
And dude, they could, I mean, even going on LinkedIn.
Yep.
If they had even a single conversation with another advisor, you couldn't talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, such a crazy industry. How do you even do business? It's almost like you're restricted to only your friends and family and then waiting for somebody to get out of the business that you can buy their book.
It is challenging, especially in situations like you just described, Merrill Lynch. A lot of insurance agencies, like the big names, Mass Mutual, Northwestern.
Yeah.
They're all somewhat territorial as well. It's a challenge, no doubt about it.
Okay, so give me your top 3 tips for advisors to market themselves.
So I go through an exercise called a sales map. It's generally about an hour, and it uncovers things that you just don't think about. And, okay, so you met with someone for the first time. What are you doing between meeting 1 and meeting 2? I hope it's nothing. I hope it's not nothing, because that's unfortunately what most people do. Are you sending them something? You give them food for thought? Are you giving them are you starting to build trust by showing case studies on things you might have already kind of brought up? Do something to get them thinking creatively as to what that next conversation should be. Number 2, I think it's incredibly important that you do start thinking about an omni-channel approach, because you're right. Those agencies that we just talked about, they're just friends and family, and we don't care after that. Because if you leave the business, we're keeping your friends and family here. That is what's going through the mind of management. We really don't care after that. So you have to. And you have to be proactive about it and think, okay, I know whatever it is I decide to do is going to cost me some amount of money. I need to allocate a certain percentage of my revenue towards those activities so I can break free of the friends and family limitations. Third one. Let me think of a good third one and this is for someone just starting out, you said.
Yeah.
Build your niche and own it.
Good. Very good. Okay. So for everybody that's listening, it's hard to build a business in a very restricted market that's highly, highly regulated. Everybody knows that, yet it must be lucrative because a lot of people do it and a lot of people are interested in it. It's how do you differentiate yourself when you're being totally restricted? Hopefully, Jeff just gave you 3 valuable insights. Hopefully from some of the ideas that we've discussed today, you have maybe some new things to try, maybe some things that you haven't thought about. If you want to get a hold of Jeff and see if he can help you in your marketing efforts, he is more than willing to talk to you. Jeff, how is the best way to get a hold of you?
Let's go with email. So my email is Jeffrey, Jeffrey, at Caddis, CADDIS.biz, B-I-Z.
Fantastic. We will have Jeffrey's email in the description below. You can take a look at that. You can also find him on LinkedIn. We'll have his profile listed there for you below as well. Jeff, it's been awesome to have you on the show. You're in a tough industry, man.
I love your creativity, Monty. Don't lose that. That's awesome.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a delight and a pleasure to have you on the show. I hope this is beneficial for all of you that have been listening. Be likable. I think that's what this comes down to.
Great start.